Well, it's not vertigo. It's just Aqueduct from a different angle. And from a different angle, I'm Richard Migliori, joined by Maggie Wolfendale for the Wednesday, November 25th edition of Insider, Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, that's right. Are you ready to eat lots of turkey, Richie?
I've never been a big Thanksgiving guy. All the years riding, you just go home and watch other people eat, and a little too much gluttony.
Yeah, I'm sure from a former jockey's perspective, Thanksgiving wasn't the most pleasant or enjoyable holiday, but I love everything that has to do with Thanksgiving, especially the pumpkin pie. I think is my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. And turkey, stuffing, and what have you, but also great racing. And we'll be here tomorrow, a little bit earlier start, 11:50 tomorrow. Try to get you out early. Maybe the food will be ready when you get home. How about some headlines, Maggie? Run Happy just kind of picks up where he left off. New trainer, but same training regimen. 5 furlongs in 57.
Yeah, that's race time, if you will. 110, out in 110 for the 6 furlongs. This was at Keeneland, where he did ship over from the training center for former now current trainer Laura Worlers, who really knows who was actually calling the shots. It's all a big mystery, but we do know one thing. Run Happy, well, he's very fast, as he does point to the Malibu, the last restricted 3-year-old sprint stakes that graded that we have in North America, and he'll ship out to the West Coast, to Santa Anita, and to the barn of Bob Hess on December 3rd, if everything goes accordingly, heading up to that Malibu start.
Trying to add another grade 1 to his already impressive resume, and what I feel bad about is I think what's gotten lost somewhat is this horse's ability with all the human drama around him.
Yeah, it's a shame, and I just hope that the horse shines through, as he seems to have all year long.
Well, a horse that shines through, particularly here at Aqueduct, Private Zone, trying to repeat in the Cigar Mile. He was a very impressive winner last year, Maggie. He gets the outside post. Might have made his job a little bit easier.
Yeah, it hasn't been done since Congaree is the only other horse to do it, as Private Zone, as you said, looks to do that feat here once again, though it is a shame that he's drawn 7 of 7, I'd say, as he does look to wire this field here once again. He's going to have to clear going that mile distance, as we will take a look at the field. A pretty interesting one kind of shaping up. You have a turf horse and Mishawish, an outsider, the only 2 started marking the 3-year-old in this crew. But Christophe Clement, he's going to send out Tonalist, and he's been training great. I've been watching him over there at Belmont, as well as Red Vine, who was your 3rd place finisher in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Tonalist, yes, he does look to rebound off of that somewhat lackluster effort in the Classic, as he will take that short van ride over to the Big A.
And do you think that the blinkers put back on Tonalist is significant?
I think you have to, as Christophe Clement is probably looking at it for this mile distance. I think he's a horse that needs to be put in the game, as we saw it in the Westchester, him getting it done there, and a close second, albeit in the Met Mile with those blinkers on. I think there's some purpose, obviously, when he cuts back in distance with them on.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it will put him a little bit more in the bridle, in the game. We've also got the Remsen, which I've always thought is a harbinger of things to come, and Mohamed was very impressive in the Nashua. How do you feel about him getting the 2 turns? I don't think it's going to be a problem.
No, you and me both. This is a very talented horse. I like him. He's going to get Lasix, though, now for this 3rd start, as he looks to stay undefeated in just his very brief career so far. But Chad Brown will send out a fairly formidable duo in here, as we'll see the New York bred finishing 2nd to him there last time out in the Nashua. Flexibility, as well as Gift Box, who did look pretty good in taking down that off-the-turf race, albeit back on October 3rd. So he was flattered by Matt King Cole winning. He's had a little bit of a break. He's a horse, too, though, that I found that the more distance he gets, the more successful he may become.
And how about Sail Ahoy? Do you think more distance is going to aid him as well?
Totally. He's a certain threat for Mohamed going into this race. Now, Shug McGahee option put blinkers on this horse, which I find interesting. He is usually a bit outdistanced and a bit outrun in the early stages of his races, but I think it's an interesting call, and one that'll probably aid him. Can't question Shug with anything he does, right?
Well, kind of something for everybody on this holiday fest. All kinds of 2-year-old races, older horse races, the Fall Highway tomorrow, always a great race. But we go from talking about stake horses to real hard-hitting claimers in race 2. going 6.5 furlongs.
And they're off. American Creed from the outside. Now Sol Lefroy moves through. Sol Lefroy takes the lead. American Creed and Chapman are heads apart, second and third. Then it's Pegasus Red racing in fourth, length and a half to Jeter in fifth. And Can't Catch Me Now trails the field in sixth as they head up the backstretch. And it's Sol Lefroy, the leader here by 3/4 of a length. American Creed on the outside is second, with Chapman down at the rail through a quarter in 23 and 4/5 seconds. Jeter now ranges up on the outside as the field goes around the far turn. Sol Lefroy, half length. American Creed in second. Jeter is on the outside with Chapman down at the rail. Then Pegasus Red. Can't Catch Me Now is still the trailer. American Creed up to challenge Sol Lefroy for the lead with Jeter on the outside. The half in 47 and 3/5 seconds. The field turns for home. It's American Creed. Sol Lefroy on the inside coming back again. Sol Lefroy, American Creed. Here's Pegasus Red now moving up. Down at the rail, it's Chapman. Jeter is faded to fifth. There's a 16th out, and there's four of them stacked across the track. Here comes Chapman on the inside. Pegasus Red is there. Chapman, Pegasus Red. Chapman won it. Chapman over Pegasus Red, then Sol Lefroy and American Creed.
Maggie Chapman was all dressed up with no place to go, but when he found room, he got it done.
And I thought a good ride by Louis Saez. I mean, he was committed to the rail, and it worked out in his favor, but he kept Chapman in the game, didn't panic when we didn't make the lead, going the 6.5, a distance where he's been successful in the past. And what a cool kind of older horse here, a son of Stanislavski. I'm pretty sure he may be the last one running, as Stanislavski did pass away earlier this year. Not a very blue-collar sire, I know, but it's cool that we still have one running.
Absolutely, and one that tries as hard as Chapman. And good ride by Louis Saez. Good ride on the runner-up by Dylan Davis. He gave his horse every opportunity. The rail opened up. Louis Saez becomes the hero.
That's right, and we see the tag hanging off the groom's pants, meaning that Chapman was clean today. We'll find out who got him a little later on in the show.
Yep, Chapman will be having dinner in someone else's barn tonight. Let's head on to the turf on race number 5. Optional claimers. John and Brielle will take you gate to wire.
And they're off. And a Wild About Harry broke well. Down on the inside, Eloise goes out for the lead. And Eloise's in front quickly by 2 lengths. Flatware is down at the rail. Alongside is Queen's Tiara. And Wild About Harry will take up a spot in 4th position. Then it's Table for 6, who has made her way down to the inside and is 5th by a head. Sing Song alongside in 6th. At the back, the names Patty and Miscue. They race around the clubhouse turn. Eloise is the leader here by a full length. Queen's Tiara runs in second. Flatware down on the inside in third. And the odds-on favorite, Wild About Harry, is 4th, 3.5 from the lead. As they race up the backstretch, it's Eloise by a head. On the outside, Queen's Tiara in second by a length. Then the gray. Flatware down on the inside in third. And Wild About Harry continues to race in 4th. Sing Song, Table for 6. Those two are right together. And at the back, the names Patty and Miscue. Half mile in 52 seconds. Eloise has been in front right from the start. Will lead the field into the far turn. Eloise by a head. On the outside, Queen's Tiara continues to run in second. Wild About Harry now begins to pick it up under Javier Castellano and is third as Flatware drops back a bit down at the rail. Then it's Sing Song and Table for 6. The names Patty and Miscue. Off the turn and into the stretch. Eloise down at the rail. Wild About Harry on the outside. Eloise, Wild About Harry. Eloise holding off Wild About Harry. Eloise still there. Wild About Harry now all out on the outside. Eloise, Wild About Harry. The two of them race for the wire, and Wild About Harry won it. Eloise was second, and it's a photo for third.
Maggie, Wild About Harry, big favorite, needed almost every inch of this mile and a 16th to close off this glacial early pace and catch Eloise.
Yeah, it's funny, as we'll see a race a little bit later on in the show. They went 48 for the half, and they were maiden claimers, I believe. So these 2-year-old fillies, though, it was good to see Wild About Harry get the ride that she needed, a committed ride by Javier Castellano, and Tom Bush getting the win over with a filly who looks fairly talented, albeit just early on in her 2-year-old campaign.
And there's Mrs. Malloy from Addition Farm, my neighbor, actually, upstate New York. And
Very sweet.
What a sweet person.
And committed to the game and her horses.
Her farm is the only completely green thoroughbred farm in New York State. Solar panels, completely,
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, how
completely
neat.
efficient.
Very, very cool. She's certainly great for the game, especially here in New York.
Definitely, and always happy to see her in the winner's circle. On the side of this break, we're going to head to some more turf racing. We'll get to race 7 here on this Aqueduct card.
Now you can enjoy your favorite pro and fantasy football teams while playing the races in style as Longshots welcomes back NFL Sunday Ticket. With over 400 HD TVs, 270 individual carols, a full-service sports bar and food menu, Longshots is the place to catch all the great racing and football action. So come on out, bring your friends, bring your league to Longshots, located on the 2nd floor at Aqueduct.
Well, they are on the Gallop Out. We are not quite in the Gallop Out as we're starting segment 2 here on Insider. And Maggie Wolfendale joining me, Richard Migliori. And Maggie, it's going to be a great weekend with the Cigar Mile. Early post, 11:50. Come on out Saturday. Some great racing. We got 2-year-olds, the Demoiselle, as well as the Remsen. And, of course, the last Grade 1 of the season, the Cigar Mile. And, Maggie, somewhat bittersweet because it is the last Grade 1 of the year for us here in New York. But winter racing's usually pretty good to us.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you struggle through it a little bit just because of the weather, but we have some great stakes, especially that 3-year-old kind of road to the Triple Crown that we'll see kick off in January with the Jerome. But looking back to this Saturday, it's going to be fun to see Private Zone defend his title in the Cigar Mile.
And I always look forward to seeing the apprentice jockeys that potentially could emerge as tomorrow's riding stars. Maybe we'll take a second look at one of them later on in the show. But let's head to race 7. We've got hard-hitting older claimers, mile and a 16th on the grass. Here's John Imbrial with the call.
And they're off. Number 11, Permanent Campaign, jumped up at the start, trails the field. There's Compliance Officer out for the early lead. Professor Palmer now moves up. Professor Palmer takes the lead. And Compliance Officer runs in second with Mr. Rosenthal in third. Branded Hand on the inside is next in fourth. Sinatra in fifth. And Ocala Jim on the outside in sixth. Then it is Upgrade in seventh with Mythical Man on the outside racing in eighth. Cosmo the Comet is ninth. And down on the inside is Utopian. Then comes Barrel of Love. And after that slow beginning, Permanent Campaign is the trailer in 12th. First quarter, 24 and 4/5 seconds. They've reached the backstretch. Mr. Rosenthal has the lead by a half length with Professor Palmer down at the rail in second and Compliance Officer right there in third. It's a length to Branded Hand racing in fourth. Sinatra runs in fifth. Ocala Jim on the outside in sixth with Utopian down at the rail moving up a spot from seventh. Upgrade is next in eighth, then Barrel of Love and Mythical Man, followed by Cosmo the Comet. Permanent Campaign continues to trail, half mile in 50 seconds. Mr. Rosenthal on the outside, Compliance Officer. Those two are now right together as they round the far turn. Professor Palmer dropping back at the rail, passed by Branded Hand. Branded Hand now up to third. Then it's Utopian, Sinatra, and Barrel of Love. 3/4 up in 1:14 and 3. Compliance Officer and Mr. Rosenthal, they are right together. There's Branded Hand. Barrel of Love is looking to come on through. On the outside, it's Utopian. Inside the 16th pole, Mr. Rosenthal with Compliance Officer and Branded Hand. And on the inside, Barrel of Love, the 4 of them come down to the wire. Photo finish between Branded Hand and Barrel of Love.
Maggie, turf racing is all about trips, particularly on the 7-furlong turf course. The 2-horse, the winner, Branded Hand, a clean run. Not so lucky for the 7, Barrel of Love.
Yeah, the 8-year-old Barrel of Love steadying the off heels there, finds a spot up the rail, but it's just too late as he will gallop out. He's in front, a step basically after the wire as he adds second place, number 11 to 51 starts. But in Brandon Hand, he looked to blow up the pick 6 in there for Greg DePrima, interesting enough, over his former charge in Mr. Rosenthal. So well done by Greg.
Yeah, 78.50 on the win end, and congratulations if you were able to come up with Brandon Hand. But again, all about trips, something to look for, especially with these turf racing. Well, you know what we have to look for? The scintillating 6. We've got them straight in a row. Here's John Imbrial with 1, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9.
Chief of State comes on through now to take second. It's Maroc, the one to catch after a half in 46 3/5 seconds. Maroc by 2. Chief of State on the outside, driving in second. It's Maroc on the inside and Chief of State on the outside. Maroc narrowly. Chief of State now right alongside. It's Maroc and Chief of State has taken the lead in deep stretch. And Chief of State wins it. Half length. Maroc was second. Hunter Cat finished third. Then Gorelli and Mr. Harlan. Park, Rangers Express on the far outside, and then Broken Border, 3/4 in 1, 14 3. And now First Charmer gets clear. First Charmer's in front by 4. Congress Park moving into second. On her inside is Sweet Advance. They're all chasing First Charmer, who broke on top, and she leads them the entire way. First Charmer first under the wire. Sweet Advance was second. And then it was Congress Uncle Duncan on the extreme outside and Megatrez. Those two are now together as Rott drops back at the rail. Uncle Duncan now comes away with the lead. Talk Time moves up. Our Luck's on the outside and Megatrez down at the rail. It's Uncle Duncan by a little more than a length. Talk Time, will he go to the outside or to the inside of Uncle Duncan? He's on the outside now. It's Uncle Duncan and Talk Time. They are right together as they come for the finish. It's going to be tight. Talk Time took it by a head. Uncle Duncan was second. Farther back, Our Luck. And off the turn into the stretch, and Johnny U is still there. Ran a half in 46 3. Johnny U in front by 3. Dreams Do Come True now splits horses and moves up into second. On the outside, here's Richie's Rich and then Honorable Daniel. Here comes Dreams Do Come True to take over from Johnny U. Dreams Do Come True, a 2-length winner. Johnny U was second, and El Viejo Verde is the one to catch. Prince Zers Vancouver on the outside, and down at the rail it is 30% as they move for the 8th pole. Here's Prince Zers coming away with the lead. Then Vancouver and 30%. Francis Freud and a late move from Easy Comparison. But it's Prince Zers in front, and Prince Zers comes off the layoff to win by almost 2. Looked like Vancouver got second. He'll be in a photo for the place with Easy Comparison. Humboldt in Frost in front by 2. On the outside is Kremlin, then Mr. Canada, Killer Crossover, followed by Constantine and Lots of Heat and Bow Tie Affair. It's still Humboldt and Frost with the lead. Then Kremlin, Killer Crossover, and Constantine. They come down for the wire. Here's Kremlin with one last surge to win it. Kremlin pulls off the upset in the finale.
Like quite a moon as we wrap up this racing card. But Maggie, we're going to take a second look at what I alluded to earlier, an apprentice jockey who I think might really have an emergence as a leader here in the jockeys room as far as the standings go. Harry Hernandez aboard the number 5 Prince Zers. He seems to be a very patient young rider.
Yeah, he is. I agree with you. I mean, that interview that you did with him a week ago, he alluded to the fact that first and foremost, he likes to ride a smart race, and he's been doing just that. So this was, what, the second win of, I'm sure, many to come, especially here at the Big A.
Yep, and hopefully before long he'll see himself climbing up into the jockey standings as Irad Ortiz leads. John Velasquez and Javier Castellano are tied for second with 15. Kendrick Carmouche riding tremendous. Luis Saez as well as many others on that list. Chad Brown, he closed the gap a bit on Rudy Rodriguez as he's only 1 behind Rudy as he leads the way here at Aqueduct. Todd Pletcher back in 3rd. And we've got some claims today, Maggie. Seems like we always got claims. Chapman, He's been popular at the claim box, and another win today. Jeter, well, he got traded once again. Our Luck, four-way shake. Richie's rich. And how about Upgrade? David Jacobson reaching in for a horse that looks like he's had most of his success on the turf.
Right. His only one dirt race, though, was when he finished second. He earned a 90 Buyer speed figure, so in a decent race as well. It'll be interesting to see what David does. I know that he's actually going to have a string out in California, too, for the winter of about 18 horses at Santa Anita.
Wow, a little back-to-back overnight trips with the red eye from California. But we got to take a quick time out. We're going to come back with a look at tomorrow's Fall High Weight and Furlough Stakes here on Insider. Well, it's nicely lit up, the Aqueduct Grandstand, but tomorrow it'll be bustling on Thanksgiving Day as some people not only come out for some great racing, but the Thanksgiving buffet. And you can still call for reservations at 888-516-NYRA. And looking forward, well, yeah, also don't forget, 11:50, we start early tomorrow, so people that aren't eating with us can head home a little bit earlier. Hopefully the food will be ready and on the table as you walk in the house, but 11:50 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day. Here is a look, Maggie, at Constellation breaking a maiden in Saratoga. She gets the outside post tomorrow.
That's exactly my point here, Richie, is that she's a filly that has that tactical speed, and when she's been able to rate on the outside, as we'll actually see her third race of her career next year, she was down on the inside, just making all the running and taking that pressure from the eventual winner. So as we're checking out the matron here, you know, I thought she ran valiantly, but I just think the post and the dynamics of tomorrow's race just suit her that much more.
I agree with you. She should get into the race comfortably, not be under the gun. And Constellation, you know she has a lot of speed, but maybe when she has an opportunity to harness that speed a little bit, she'll be a little more effective in the stretch. And
I thought Tonasa actually ran incredibly well in the matron, a filly that I haven't been the biggest fan of, but she didn't get away to that greater start. She's kind of down on the rail and then came with a little bit of run later on in the stretch in that matron. So we'll see if she can get back on track for Todd Pletcher tomorrow.
Well, a nice race for two-year-old fillies, but let's head on to the older horses, and we got a nice mixed bag in the Fall High Weight. But first, let's take a look at Saludos Amigos winning the Fall High Weight last year on a sloppy track.
Yes, he will look to pair back-to-back Fall High Weights here for David Jacobson as he does come out of the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Do I think he's in the best form? No. Do I think he loves Aqueduct? Yes. And he could very well get back on track here, Richie, as he'll try for that Fall High Weight, and does get the highest weight, though, of this field with 134.
Well, 134 pounds, a big package to carry, but how about the Linda Rice duo? She's got La Verdad. She gets him with 127 for a mare.
Yeah, which is still kind of a lot, considering that there's males in here carrying less than her, but that's what happens when you win multiple stakes. God, she's 15 for 23. She ran so well in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, going the 7 furlongs. And she showed 2 starts ago in the Iroquois that she can rate. If there's horses that want to go to her inside, she's in that kind of cat's eye view of what's going to unfold to her inside.
Yeah, that outside draw gives her that option. How about Palace? I thought his Hudson was good. The DeFrancis Dash with blinkers a little keen. And what do you think about him going forward?
Well, what's interesting is that 2 years ago, he took down the Hudson and then the Fall High Weight. So he'll try to do that here once again with a race in between. A little bit of trouble in that dash. Kind of a weird race for him, but I like the fact that the blinkers come off.
Well, you had an opportunity to catch up with his trainer, Linda Rice. Let's see what she had to say down with Maggie.
Here with Linda Rice, who is looking to send out 2 in tomorrow's Fall High Weight. Linda, you've had success in this race prior, and taking a look at your star mare in the barn, and that's La Verdad, as she comes off the second in the Breeders' Cup. How is she heading into this one, and how did she come out of that race?
She came out of the Breeders' Cup great. Of course, we ran her back on a week's rest. She's in great form right now. You know, she's won 6 out of 7 this year. And last year we tried the Fall High Weight, and that, you know, she was kind of tailed off at the time. And, you know, it's the last good purse sprinting. that we could find that's at home. So we wanted to give her a try on that, and there's a good chance after this race she'll move on to a new career.
Is there a fear, though, with you, considering it happened last year, that she might tail off for this one again? Just a hard campaign and just being a mare. Does you think that might happen, or are you confident this time around?
She's not like most mares. This filly has run for 2 years straight. She's run once a month, and every time we lead her over there, she performs. So I think that's less likely with a horse like her, but you never know. This is, it's horse racing. Anything can happen.
Well, another one that may move on to a new career is Palace, a horse who has won this race for you. Looking at him coming off short rest from the De Francis Dash, bit of a troubled trip down there. I know you weren't quite pleased with what went down in Maryland.
No, that's just typical of the year we've had with Palace. If it could go wrong, it did. Fell out of the gates, hurt his foot, trapped in the inside, rough trip in Maryland. We'll give him a go. And then, like Laverdad, he's moving on to a new career as well. So, it's a difficult thing to have them both in there, but they both belong, and hopefully one of them will win.
Linda, will this be a bit bittersweet, sending them both off the same day?
Absolutely. Very difficult, but also something I'm very proud of.
Congratulations with getting him to this point. Very well done.
Thank you, Maggie.
Maggie, I actually think these two horses complement each other very well with Laverdad's speed and Palace's closing style, but very good question about it being bittersweet. Two good horses, but how do you replace them?
How do you replace them? And one that came into her barn as a young horse that she got to develop with Laverdad, and another she claimed for $20,000 off of an effort where he fell in the stretch. He came back and won the maiden 20 very easily, but it's been onwards and upwards for Palace, and a horse that, like she's done so many times, has claimed and turned their life around.
Well, irreplaceable for sure. Speaking of irreplaceable, let's throw it to Andy with his thoughts about tomorrow's card.
What better way to spend Thanksgiving than a day at the Big A? 9 races, first post time, 11:50. The second race, post time around 12:20. You do not want to miss an opportunity to bet on Lebowski. Not the Big Lebowski, but Lebowski, number 8. Goes turf to dirt for trainer John Terranova. His numbers, turf to dirt with maidens, are terrific. Turns back in distance. Frankly, the first race this horse ran on the dirt at 6 furlongs at Saratoga. 5.5 furlongs, I should say. Good enough to win this race. Love the move. Love Lebowski on Thanksgiving Day here at the Big A as we head back to the studio.
Well, Maggie, we're going to take a look at Congaree, the only horse to ever win 2 Cigar Miles. We'll see if that changes with Private Zone. And we'll be back here tomorrow for more Insider. Have a great night, and we'll see you here on Thanksgiving.
And now Congaree is getting clear. Congaree is going to make it 2 years in a row in winning the Cigar Mile. And what a day for Jerry Bailey. He's won all 3 stakes. Congaree, the winner here. Midas Eye, second. Tuckett was third.